Hello, I'm Layla McKinnon. Welcome to A Current Affair. We begin tonight with wives on the warpath. Their husbands are out of pocket thousands of dollars in wages because the boss won't pay up while he's driving around in a Lamborghini. Well, now he'd better watch out.
You didn't. You don't answer calls. You only talk to people when it suits you.
It's the day angry wives gave it to the man they say has ripped their partners off.
Yeah, we'll see. See, walk away like you always do. You think you're going to get away with it, you're not.
No worries.
I am not going to stop until I get the money for everybody. It's cruel what he's done. He shouldn't be allowed to stand in there and think that he's better than everyone else when he's not.
Sally's determined to fight, and so is Trish.
We should have a lot of money in the bank, but we don't because it's in Mr Foster's pocket or Mrs Foster's pocket.
Philip Foster, who'd rather have coffee than talk to us, operates transport companies subcontracting work to drivers like Trish's husband Ray and Sally's husband Frank.
We've been ripped off, so we're devastated.
In fact, A Current Affair knows of a dozen drivers who say Mr Foster or companies he's associated with owe them thousands. Well, Sally and Frank, how much money are you owed?
$27,857, I think it is.
We're owed $28,000.
Nearly 30,000.
My estimated around about between 50 and 60 grand.
And they end up owing me 46.5 grand, roughly.
Between $45,000 and $50,000.
But all up, you owe a whole lot of people a whole lot of money.
That's incorrect, and I think you should get the correct information before you go any further.
Sally and Frank claim businesses hiring Mr Foster's freight companies pay him, but he doesn't always pay the subbies.
Some of them jobs he gets paid in 3 days. 3 days.
I never confirmed that with us.
You know, I mean, he gets his money in 3 days. Why can't he pay us? You know?
You're a liar.
I'm quite happy to answer any question as long as the question is relevant.
What's relevant to Trish and Ray is this court order saying they should be paid by Nationwide Transport and Logistics, a company Mr Foster's wife Donna was the director of.
We did proceed the right way. We went to court and everything. No one bothered to show up, and the courts awarded us to be paid, and up to this date we've still received no payment.
You owe Trish and her husband Ray $31,000. I've seen the court order saying the company that your wife is director of owes them this money. I've got the court order here. You want to see it?
Do you want to turn this off for 1 minute and then I'll talk to you?
This time last year, my son died. Buried him Christmas Eve. We had no money.
Ernie Davis says he couldn't afford to bury his son because Freight Alliance, another company of which Mr Foster was director, owes him more than $50,000. In desperation, Ernie called for help.
So I rang his manager and I said, look, I'm in a bit of a tight spot here. I said, I wonder if I can have a bit of a sub of my money to bury my son. And she turned around and said, no, you are not getting none of it, and you won't get none of it.
What about Ernie's son? You didn't care about him, did you?
Who's Ernie?
One of the subbies from Newcastle. You didn't care about him having to bury his son, did you? You didn't.
I think he's a dog. Really is, you know. We did the work for him. He got paid, but he won't pay us.
Peter Duff says he also has a court order to get paid. No doubt he'd turn around and say to us, well, I'm doing it tough as well, but would you believe him?
No, not one word of it. You've seen what he lived in, the size of his house on about 10 or 12 acres or whatever, and businesses overseas and the cars that he drives. Yeah, he's not doing it tough at all.
Mr Foster paid $2.2 million for this riverside home 5 years ago. When we stopped by, there was still a Lamborghini in the drive. All this even though he's been the director of 11 companies in the last decade. His wife Donna has been the director of 10 companies in the same period. It's a complicated web where directors have changed, companies have folded, or directorships have been passed on.
When I would ring up to see if the money was there, they made me feel like I was begging for the money.
Cherie Jarvie's husband Greg has worked for 2 of Mr Foster's companies and says he's $46,000 out of pocket.
I'm still struggling on, trying to make money. We're still chasing our tail, trying to get back on our feet.
Well, Mr Foster, now you've finished breakfast, do you want to say something? These people say that you've made their lives a misery. Surely you'd like to respond to that?
Obviously he knew what he was doing.
Really you are.
And it just keeps happening and happening.
Wayne Devereaux also worked for two of Mr Foster's companies which went out of business, owing him $50,000.
He dragged it out till blokes were owed 50, 60, 150,000. And it's just wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, as a man, gutless.
Cowardly was the word a judge used to describe Mr Foster as she sentenced him to 6 months jail for assaulting a man with a golf club 13 years ago. And while Mr Foster pleaded guilty to that, he's not accepting any responsibility for the money these subbies say he owes them. How do you sleep at night owing all these people this money?
We just want our money, Phil. You know, own up to what you've done. We want our money.
When are you going to take responsibility for the actions instead of hiding behind your wife and your son?
Why isn't he bankrupt? Why is he still operating? Why has he still got all these businesses?
Say something, Phil. That's right, walk away, you are a coward, just like the judge says. I feel like punching him, but I can't.
Lots of good questions there, and if you've had any bad dealings with Philip Foster, let us know about it by giving us a call or sending us an email.